Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
What's up, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to the Star Wars Underworld Podcast. We are your source for the latest breaking Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion each and every week. And this week on the show, we're going to be talking about the Underworld TV show finally happening, but not in the way that you think. But it's still exciting. It's still exciting. Plus, we're going to have updates on Star Wars Celebration Japan, which is only a few weeks away, and the exciting Revenge of the Sith's 20th anniversary re-release, some video game news, and much more on the show. Plus, we'll be answering your questions as well. My name is Chris, and joining me, it's Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be back. And what was it? What was this? Tuesday or Wednesday when this happened? That was yesterday. Good Lord, time means nothing anymore. I woke up. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna get ahead of schedule and I'm gonna work on the show notes for this show. And I'm gonna try to figure out what the show is actually going to be about because there hasn't been a whole lot of news. And then my phone immediately starts blowing up with Tales of the Underworld. I'm like, okay, all right, that's just it's settled then. This is what the show's gonna be about. And obviously, even if it wasn't, I mean, come on, it's got Underworld in the title. Come on, man. This is bring our A game now. Come on.
Yes. It's gonna be an interesting discussion as well. So excited that they're finally animating these scripts that they've had for so long. Very exciting. Also joining us because two of our regular hosts are right now flying to Japan. It's our good friend Chad. How you doing, Chad?
Pretty good. Happy to be here. Happy to talk about the Tales of the Underworld with the Star Wars Underworld. So yes. It's very, very, very perfect. So we're excited to talk about that. Real quick, we want to remind everybody to subscribe to what you're listening or watching to us on. Become a channel member if you're watching on YouTube, and you can also super chat with us live if you're watching live on YouTube. If you don't catch us live, the time that we go live is a little bit past 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays, North American Thursdays. I believe it is Fridays in Australia and Japan and that part of the world. I'm going to start saying Japan time now that Celebration is in Tokyo. I'm just going to say what our show is in Japan time for anybody who's like preparing for Celebration while in Japan, but watching our show, because I'm sure some of our listeners are headed over there and going to be hanging out there. We also want to remind everybody to check out our Discord. We got lots of exciting stuff over there. To follow us on social media at the SWU and check out all the other shows we have on the Star Wars Underworld Network, including the Raeside, On Canon, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, Tractor Beam, and more. All right, let's get right into the exciting news for this week.
Yes, very, very exciting. As per mentioned, yesterday, as of recording this, we got word officially from Star Wars, as they do, saying that Star Wars Tales of the Underworld is on the way. This is, of course, this new series. This is actually, I think, the first time they've acknowledged this as like the third season of the Tales thing, because they were like, Tales of the Jedi, this is a new thing. And then they got Tales of the Empire, which is like, this is a different thing. And now they're like, no, this is just a series. You're not going to get Tales of the Jedi season 2. This is season 3 of Tales. It's just a anthology thing that we're getting now. 6 episodes dropping on Disney Plus on May the 4th, which, correct me if I'm wrong here, we got Tales of the Empire last May 4th?
Yes.
So this is becoming a tradition now of getting things. So we're going to be mad in 1 year's time if there's not an announcement of Tales of the Sith or Tales of the Ewoks. Like,
God, I would
somebody, y'all
Yes.
set us up. Y'all set us up.
I need a Tales of the Ewoks. Come on.
You better do that.
Come on. This is, of course, created by Dave Filoni. Supervising director is Dave Filoni as well. Written by Matt Miknovets. Sorry, Matt. I always screw up your name. Miknovich. And focuses on none other than Cad Bane and Asajj Ventress. So very, very cool news. But Chris, look, I know we all have history with this. I'll throw it to you first. What were your initial impressions of Tales of the Underworld?
Well, so I went on Amazon and I ordered a Cad Bane hat just so I can eat it if the entire episode's is droids going shopping. But I'm sure
there is a precedent.
Right.
I mean, there's a chance.
Yeah, no, this is very exciting. Basically they're taking some of the best elements of Star Wars animation and some of the best characters, and now they've got a third season of this anthology kind of developmental series, as they've put it in the past. And I'm glad that they're turning to the Underworld, because that obviously was a massive part of the Clone Wars and Star Wars animation back in the day, and continues to be. And it's the reason why our podcast is called Star Wars Underworld, as a reference to the Underworld, and that primarily the Underworld from the Clone Wars, and reference to it by Plo Koon and all that stuff. So that's where that all comes from. And so it's great that it's coming full circle and that they're making more animated episodes about these characters. And I think Cad Bane and Ventress are two very good choices. They're two of the most interesting characters, I think, in the Underworld during this era. And I do think it's cool that we're seeing kind of maybe some more gaps being filled about what's going on with these characters kind of a little bit further along in the timeline. But, before we see, especially Cad Bane, way later in his demise story arc.
Or demise, maybe. Who knows? There was that red blinking light. Something about that light on his lapel.
He's dead. Back. He's definitely dead.
He better come back.
Who knows? Hey, if Maul can do it and Palpatine can do it, I say, who knows?
And Beck lied. Beckett lied.
Beckett lied. But you're reminding me here of like the origins of the Star Wars Underworld, and the fact that we came about in a time which was like we were rich in Bane and Ventress fever back, in the early Clone Wars days. Like those characters were hugely, coming at us. Like I just never forget, like ending season 1 with Hostage Crisis and being like, oh my God, like Rise of the Bounty Hunters, let's go. Like that was such a special time. And having that coming back around, I think Bane is one of my favorite characters. One of my favorite Star Wars characters, and having him show back up, I think he's a perfect thing for this. And I am curious, as we'll maybe get into, is how Bane will be featured in this, and will we get some backstory? I don't know. But I should mention, we got a great new poster for Tales of the Underworld. We got, instead of the Jedi symbol or the Imperial cog symbol, we get the credit sign symbol, which is pretty, because I was like, why is there a 7 back there? What's with the 7? What does the 7 mean? It's like, oh, okay, it's a credit symbol. Okay, I get it. So that's pretty cool. We got some interesting characters, including down there towards the bottom. They're not in the trailer, but Latsrazi and Heisinger are down in the bottom right corner. So very interesting. And some other characters in there that we'll talk about. A lot of Duros, right? We're definitely getting a resurgence of Duros, which is interesting. But Chad, please let us know, what were your initial impressions of Tales of the Underworld?
Yeah, I was, again, random Tuesday, random Wednesday. Just I love it when Star Wars just randomly drops something just out of the blue, and it's like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. And a great trailer, love it. Love Cad Bane. He's probably one of my favorite. bounty hunters, and and Asajj Ventress, I've always loved her since like the old 2003 Clone Wars. So I would be curious to see if they kind of explain. I'm probably guessing this is how they're going to explain how Asajj Ventress shows up in Bad Batch season 3, because I mean, last time in the book she died, but it's been kind of nebulous. So I would hope they kind of explain that in this, and we'll probably getting the origin story of Cad Bane by the looks of it.
Yeah, and I want to know, is that Elor Madak, also known as Owen Demal? Is that who his brother is? That's what I want to know.
I've never heard those words before.
I don't know who that is.
Where the Duros species originates from, the original Cantina Duros.
Oh, I think that dude died. We definitely see Cad Bane in that guy in a standoff, and I think that guy's gonna die. So
maybe that happened after that.
Maybe it could be.
I am okay. This gets into the whole thing. Okay, so this is the official read from StarWars.com. Apparently, Ventress is given a new chance at life and must go on the run with an unexpected new ally. We'll get into that in a second. And then Cad Bane apparently faces his past when he confronts an old friend, now a marshal on the other side of the law. And they specifically call out this show being set in the Imperial era.
See.
Well, I mean, technically, that's the rise of the Rebellion era, after A New Hope. So it's also technically like, Galactic Civil War. So they said Reign of the Empire. That's always pre A New Hope. So
based on this trailer, there seems to be a lot of the same time period. I don't see a lot of variation. It doesn't feel like the big time jumping different parts of these characters' lives that, Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire was, to me, at least. Maybe I'm wrong here, but it feels like there's different planets. Obviously, we see Cad Bane when it looks to be on this city type planet. And then there's other shots of them on some kind of like, this is like a desert-esque planet, could be Tatooine, who knows? But I'm very curious how that timeline works out. And like, we have Bane like saying like, oh, you took everything from me, blah, blah, blah. And you see him kind of getting taken away. Maybe he gets arrested by this guy. Maybe he comes back for revenge later. And then obviously further on, there's a little standoff in the street, Wild West, because Cad Bane loves his standoffs. So I don't know. I'm very, very intrigued by this. I will say, maybe this is a hot take. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm just being honest here. I'm just trying to be honest. I most of the time I lie on this podcast. Actually, fun fact, but I'm going to be honest right now. I was kind of like meh on the trailer, to be honest. I wasn't totally enthused, but like I was enthused by the poster and the title and the fact that we're getting these characters back, and the fact that we got lots Razi and Heisinger, which are favorites of mine, like all this. But the trailer was just like, it's not a lot going on in the trailer. I'm intrigued by some of this, but I wasn't like jumping up and down. I think the hype level, my hype was kind of hit its peak with the poster and the whole announcement, and it didn't raise any with the trailer personally. Not that it's not a bad trailer, because it's not. It's a great trailer, but it's just a lot going on, and it's a lot of not a ton that's intriguing to me in it, other than like we do get what appears to be a new Inquisitor, which is, I don't know what's
that
on there, but
Inquisitor?
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know though.
Could be.
It looks like how the Niktos appeared, like in the Clone Wars. They had like they were like had the helmets on and stuff, but he's got the red eyes, he's got the lightsaber, and we see Ventress fighting him. And I also don't know, because we see Imperial stormtroopers in this, and during the Bad Batch, we had not gotten to the point where the stormtroopers had that armor. It was still the TK trooper.
Yeah.
Armor. So this, at least some of this appears to be set after Bad Batch. So, and there doesn't seem to be any indication that we're going to get something about how Ventress survived, which I will say, if we don't get something about that, some line or something, I will be disappointed, because I'm like, okay, you brought her back. Now is the time to explain this. And you're giving her basically what is her own series. Now it's time to do this.
Yeah. And for me, like, the trailer, it interested me because of the characters in it. So
Right.
I didn't really like assess the trailer as a trailer. I was more like, okay, I'm seeing a trailer and it's showing me that there's going to be a lot of besides Ventress and Cad Bane in this. This makes me happy. That's really all I care about. Because basically, as long as there's stories that have more than 30 seconds of Cad Bane and Ventress in it, they're good. Yeah, as there's some of the best episodes of Star Wars have Cad Bane or Ventress in it. So it's just they're two very good characters. Ventress especially has a really interesting character arc, and Cad Bane is just a very fascinating villain who's really, really fun. So I'm just working out the assumption that it's going to be good, and therefore I'm hyped for it. And so the actual mechanics of the trailer, I'm less interested in. It's more just like lots of two great characters. This should be good.
Mm-hmm. Ben, can you pull up the poster again? I just noticed something. You know how, like, just the two Daros just below Cad Bane. I think the one younger one that's kind of holding up that like stone, it looks like, I think that might be Cad. Like
that's what I assumed too. Yeah, when I saw it,
so I would assume you're getting like what they did with Ahsoka, where it's kind of like in the Dooku one, where it's like, hey, here's this story at this point, here's this story at this point in his life, and then here's the finale episode.
Yeah, I think the ultimate point, if I had to, because like there was a theme with the previous Tales series. I think kind of like these opposite kind of things. Obviously, with like Tales of the Empire, it was like Morgan Elsbeth's descent into darkness versus Barriss kind of coming out of it. I think this, obviously, they're putting on this idea of Asajj Ventress is someone who was redeemed. Most of that happened kind of off screen, but there was this slow ascension out from under the thumb of Count Dooku to becoming a bounty hunter and on her way to becoming a hero potentially. And we see that kind of come to fruition in Bad Batch. So it makes sense for that. And then obviously Cad Bane is someone who is been portrayed most of the time in all of his appearances as being pretty cold and just pretty like the last thing we saw him do was kidnap a kid. And that's not the first kid he kidnapped. And then he's done other things. And he's, he shot Hunter that one time, and, he kidnapped Omega. And like, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm curious because I get the impression that this show is trying to humanize him. I know he's not a human, but go with me here. Humanize him in a way and show him, in a different light. But ultimately, end of the day, he becomes this ruthless bounty hunter that is not at all, not worthy of redemption, seemingly. So I'm very curious to see how that shakes out. And if we're going to see him as a kid, I think maybe this is just like kind of a Darth Vader situation. How does a good person turn bad? How Cad Bane was presumably a kid once. How does this kid become a ruthless killer? Which is, I don't know, very interesting.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting because they haven't really gone that much into Cad Bane as like a sympathetic character. Like he's always just been kind of like a villain foil type character. That's been really fun.
I wonder if they're not going to give him that kind of sympathetic thing where you're kind of just, you get introduced to him as a kid, and then you kind of see his downfall. Like Ben was saying, like you do see you're like, oh, this guy's kind of turned into a bit of an a-hole. He's like, you're like, why should I like this guy? So maybe they'll try to do something like that.
Yeah,
the closest they ever got to kind of giving Bane some sort of conscience is like the box, like where Moralo Eval's going to kill Kenobi, and he's like saves him. He's like, basically don't kill him. I think he's like, do it like a man, like whatever that means. And and so that's kind of like the only thing of just like, okay, Cad Bane kind of has a code, but then he kind of doesn't. He kind of has no compulsion. He'll just do whatever for the coin. So like, I don't know. I think, to be honest, I know it's not in the cards normally for these Tale shows. I would like to see Cad Bane and Ventress meet and interact. I think that'd be cool.
OTP.
You know what? I'm surprised. I'm surprised they didn't do like him and Boba Fett. Like I would have guessed it. I would have guessed if they were going to do anything with Cad Bane, like in a Tales of the Bounty Hunters / Underworld, which I'm guessing this is going to be the Tales of the Bounty Hunters thing. Is like I'm surprised that they're not going to do that arc, because like you go into Book of Boba Fett and you're like, these guys apparently know each other and they never explained it. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't do that arc with him.
Right.
That was
the dented Boba Fett's helmet, right?
Yeah.
That's where
and then we see
that
Cad
is
Bane with
seemingly
the
the story
on his head.
Yeah.
Too, right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah. Like
why wouldn't you do that? Kind of. Yeah. I'm curious to see what they are telling, and I'll probably like it. But I'm surprised that they're not doing anything with that lost Clone Wars arc.
See, and that was literally, I think, my first thought when I saw this title and I saw this poster before I even seen the trailer. I'm just like, oh, okay, we're gonna get the Boba Fett versus Cad Bane. We're gonna do
Boba
that.
Boba Fett would have been dead smack center of that poster then.
See, and that the fact that he's not, unless Filoni is just pulling a fast one on us, and it's not like, I don't think that's gonna be in this at all, which is a interesting choice, considering that they really went hard with that storyline happened, even though we never saw it, and we're going to reference it a heck of a lot in live action storytelling and just not really explain it.
Yeah.
Just kind of go with them and just assume everyone knows what we're talking about. So I am curious. Is Tales of the Bounty Hunters coming? Will they do a Boba Fett Tales of the Bounty Hunters? I feel like after Boba Fett already got his own show, is he in need of that? Like, I say yes. Obviously,
we need definitely Boba Fett pre like Empire, between Clone Wars and Empire.
There's that gap of time. There's the gap of time between Kid Boba Fett and Bounty,
and now he's got his
Empire.
Now he's got his armor on, and he's like a total badass. And it's like, okay, so maybe like, where's this? That lead up.
I hope they don't make the decision based on that, but I can totally see, like, especially studio executives being like, well, why would we greenlight having an animated show when he has his own live action show already? We've already done this.
Which I
would hope not, because I think
I don't think they would, but
because I think it would be interesting, because I think there is that disconnect with Boba Fett of him being this cold-blooded mercenary in Empire Strikes Back to like always this kind-hearted, joyous kind of guy we see Tim Morrison in the Book of Boba Fett. Like, how do you bridge that gap? How do you actually make those two characters think? Because to be honest, a lot of that does feel like two different characters to me. The Empire Strikes Back Boba versus Book of Boba Fett Boba. So maybe that's coming. I don't know. I hope so. But right now we've just got this, and good enough, and hopefully we'll get more. Maybe Tales of the Bounty Hunters is next May 4th. Maybe that's what we're looking forward to. Who knows?
You need Tales of the Old Republic. That's what should happen next.
Year. Don't tempt me. Do not get my hopes up. I should mention really quick that Latz Razi is coming back. She will be voiced once again by Claire Grant. So that's pretty cool. And the additional cast members include Art Butler, Lane Factor, AJ Lacazio, Dawn Lynn Gardner, and Eric Lopez. I believe Art Butler voiced Akbar in the Mon Cala arc in Clone Wars, if I remember correctly. So that name sticks in my head. I just like it's a very unique name, and also was a big deal back in the day. Of we got a new Akbar, we're going down in Moncala, stuff like that. So big deal.
Wait, no, Captain Akbar. There was something I had come across Captain Akbar and the person that had voiced him while doing a deep dive on something else a few weeks ago, and it might not have been him because I don't remember that, but maybe multiple people voiced him.
Okay, yeah, he did voice him. He did voice him.
Okay.
Art Butler portraying Captain Akbar in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. There you go. And
I must have been doing a deep dive on Art Butler, and I forgot I was doing a deep dive on Art. I just remember for some reason that came up, and I thought it was odd that it.
No disrespect to Art Butler, but I literally only know you from playing Akbar. Like that's literally the only thing. So yeah. Okay, we've talked a lot about Bane. Let's go over to Ventress really quick. And this is actually there's a big question here because we see her in the trailer. Not alone. She has a sidekick, an apprentice, someone she's things. There's a young kid. And there's a lot of theories about who this kid is. And usually the most logical answer, the most obvious answer is that it's just a new character, guys. It's not a big deal. But I've been on the interwebs as I do. I've been reading a lot of what people are saying, and there's two theories that I want to throw out there. One is very unlikely, I think. One is kind of likely that I like, but we'll get into both of them. The least likely, I think, of the two is that this kid is Jod Nanawood from Skeleton Crew.
Oh wow, I can see that.
My only issue with that is that does that mean Ventress is going to die again? Because it's pretty explicitly said that Jod's master bites it in the end. So, so I don't know how I feel about that. The other theory is that going back to Clone Wars, this is Petro. Remember Petro, the headstrong young Jedi from the Young Jedi Adventures?
Yes.
Not young Jedi arc, not young Jedi Adventures. That's a bit further back.
Yes.
But I've seen some comparisons. Kind of looks like him. I think he even has a blue lightsaber. And we don't have anything. We've seen Gunji, but we haven't seen any of the other Padawans. So
I think this is a Sharad Het. That's what I think.
They're in a desert.
Yeah.
Not a desert planet.
He's going to go join the Tusken Raiders. Nobody knows who Sharad Het is except us two, okay? Nobody.
We all know. No.
Oh, I know who
listeners,
he is.
Everybody, if you're listening to this show on a Thursday night live, you know who Sharad Het is.
Comment below. Tell us. Give us your. See if you pass the test. But like, okay. We see and looks like there's battle droids in the background, and maybe there's several scenes. There's one of Ventress protecting this kid, and she's having a standoff with this new Inquisitor. I'm very curious where this goes and how this things, and Ventress, whether this is set before or after Bad Batch. We don't really. She literally shows it for one episode, so it could be set at any point during Bad Batch or after Bad Batch, and it really works. Just how she came back and how she's alive. I kind of want to know that, but very interesting. Chad, do you have any thoughts on Ventress that you've seen in this trailer so far?
I mean, like I said earlier, I hope they explain how she came back, but I kind of doubt it. But I like Ventress. It was great seeing her back in Bad Batch. So see what they do with this. Hopefully Quinlan Voss shows up. So come on, bring back Quinlan.
Heck yeah.
That's a big question. Look, I'm gonna throw it to you, Chris, because I have a lot to say, but I know you probably have more to say. But there's the big question. We're getting Ventress back. Where is Quinlan Voss?
I mean, I can't think about it because I'll be very mad if I think it's going to happen. So. And it doesn't.
We know he's alive. We know he didn't die like he did in that cutscene, which was in the novelization, maybe. And in I know it's in the graphic novel, Revenge of the Sith. He gets blown up, but then he gets. Then in another comic, he survives, and then all that's not canon. So, and then he shows up. He's on that wall in Kenobi. So he's out there. Where is he? And why isn't Ventress going after him?
You know, he's just out there vibing with his dreadlocks and green lightsaber.
Where's Carto Voss? That's what I want to know. Where's Carto Voss?
Even better question.
That's what I really want to see. And okay, maybe that's who we're seeing in that photo. Maybe this is Carto Voss. Maybe Ventress has decided to take up his son and train him. That would be a great story.
You know what I really want to see with this animation style? They're like killing it in Bad Batch and all these tales. Can they please just make a movie? Can you just make an animated movie with this animation style? Like,
don't
crazy. It's crazy. Just do the. Come on, please. Come on, Lucasfilm. I know you're listening.
I'm shocked that they still haven't. I mean,
wait. Are they just afraid because the Clone Wars movie was a failure? So
I'm sure. I think they probably made more money with the. Well, no, they probably didn't because it was limited. Because they had the Savage Press screenings, and I'm pretty sure those are sold out. I didn't go to that. I don't mad, or maybe I did go to it. I actually can't remember if I did or not at this point. I remember having a conversation and trying to get off some test or whatever that I had to take in college to try to go to. I have such hazy memories of this. This was 15 years ago. Yeah, there's that. They really should have put Siege of Mandalore in theaters. That would have been perfect.
Yep.
That would have been perfect. Yep. They needed to keep pushing Disney Plus at that time. I mean, they should do
come on. Dark Disciples right there. Just do the Dark Disciple animated as an animated movie.
Not that I necessarily disagree with the idea I'm about to present, but I can't believe they haven't tried it because it feels like, okay, we've had this history of animated Star Wars shows. Obviously, you want to go carry on from Clone Wars to Bad Batch to Rebels, all this kind of stuff. And it's Bad Batch was a natural selection. And then you have these Tales of shows, which are these mini series, these mini things with 3-episode arcs. It feels like the next logical step is just to do a movie, maybe just do a movie that's just for streaming. Obviously my point is it deserves to be in theaters. I don't believe in necessarily straight to streaming Star Wars movies. I think if you have a Star Wars movie, and I think probably Disney executives agree with me too, is if you have a Star Wars movie, you're making a Star Wars movie, just put it in theaters because it'll make at least some money, as opposed to the streaming model, which sometimes makes money, sometimes it doesn't.
The only one that they shouldn't put in theaters is if it's more than 3 hours. Then they shouldn't put it in theaters. The only movie,
if it's 4 hours, just do an intermission. Just do an intermission.
The only movie that is allowed to be direct to streaming is the Snyder cut of Justice League. That
side note, I rewatched that movie this weekend. That's a long ass movie.
Yeah, that could not be in theaters.
It's in chapters for a reason. Okay.
Thank God there's chapters in that movie because you get to a point and you go, I gotta go to bed. It's past midnight.
You just it says what chapter do I remember last when I fell asleep? Okay, I'm gonna start back up later with this. That's what that's for.
This is some the best CGI animation to date. They're killing it in this animation.
Even the
style.
small stuff. Look at the shot. That's
it looks so realistic.
An amazing shot.
They're doing the dust particles. It looks like it's raining. It looks live action in some scenes.
And it is I feel like this is such a renaissance of animation recently. You had the Spider-Verse movies, and all that stuff, and there's so much appreciation for that artwork, and I think a Star Wars animated movie would be so welcome. And there's so much goodwill around Star Wars animation. So many people, and I don't really disagree with them, some of the best Star Wars He is animated. So like, why not do that? And I think they're right there. Like you have these 3 episodes arc there, which are basically, you just cut them together. They're movies. They're small movies. And you put them all put all 6 together. It's basically just, one big 2-chapter movie, so.
Wasn't the Bad Batch premiere? It was like a 90-minute episode, right, or something like that. Which is like it's practically a movie.
I put Aftermath. The Bad Batch premiere, up there with any Star Wars movie. Period.
It's a movie.
Just like, even though they haven't edited together in a movie, the Siege of Mandalore up there with any Star Wars movie. Period. Like it's all just. Come on, what are you waiting for, Lucasfilm Disney? Come on,
Lucasfilm. Come on, give us an animated movie. We know the last one didn't work well because it was just a TV show that was put in a movie form. But now you're just killing it with this animation style. Make a 90-minute movie. Dark Disciple Part 1 is the first half of the book. Dark Disciple Part 2 is the rest of the story.
I have another question. I have another question for you guys. No, you're good. You're preaching to the choir here. I have another question for you guys, and it's about. Of course, we keep seeing these 2 characters in the trailer. This Trandoshan and the human guy.
Is that Talon Card?
Yes.
No, but I like that idea. That is how I picture. I'm pretty sure every time Talon Card has been pictured in some sort of artwork, he's looked like that. He's got handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
yeah. Full stop. The Widow's Peak handlebar mustache. All I gotta do is hear Mark Thompson's impression of him coming out of his face, and that's fine with me. No, actually, I have another theory on this, and I'm not the first person to point this out. Does this character look familiar? Perhaps a character from the Bad Batch. There is this character, if you remember from the season 2 opener of Bad Batch, Romar Adel. He's the guy on the planet where they're trying to escape and they're trying to steal stuff. I think it's on Sereno, right? It's on Sereno. Yeah. He's like he knows all about Count Dooku and whatever else. Like he's on Sereno. That dude. If you look him up on Wikipedia, it looks a lot like him. It looks like a younger version of him. Now that I'm looking at it, doesn't look that much like him, actually. So maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree.
It's more like Talon Card than him.
I mean, would they do that? Would could we get a Talon Card? This is the Underworld.
Yeah, it fits right in.
Why not? It feels like a Filoni thing.
That's one of the more surprising characters that hasn't made it to the new canon, because so many, like, we have Thrawn, we have Grook, that character.
Rook. I can't say it like Lars Mickelson. I can't.
Yeah, that character. Yeah, Grook. But yeah, where's Talon Card? And then of course, we all know that there's no Mara Jade just because of just prejudice. So because she should be. I mean, those characters are
for good reasons.
Racist against redheads.
Mm-hmm. No redheads allowed in Star Wars.
Yeah, I just don't think
what's going on.
When's the last time you saw somebody like me and things? Oh yeah, Force Awakens. Well, guess what? He was a space fascist. Okay, good old Donald Gleason.
Hey, there was a redhead in the Acolyte. All right, he was that one. He was only in it for like 2 minutes. He was like a Jedi Master.
Oh yeah, that you mean
big red? He had a big red beard and long hair.
weirdo assistant. Yeah.
Yeah, not that guy. No, not the Padawan that was a terrible actor. But that's a side. that's a side note. The other guy, I don't know his name. He was like in it. He was like training Jackie before they
clearly
all died.
I blocked that shot of my
memory. Yes.
Like it was like in the day episode. He's like only in it for like 2 minutes, not even. He's got a yellow lightsaber. That's all I know.
But yeah, so we got some Trandoshan action. We got these dudes, and there's another shot of this guy. Looks to be from a different time period because it looks a little slightly different. So I like that theory better. I like the Talon Card theory. I don't know. I feel like very Filoni thing to do. Just throw in Talon Card randomly into this Tales show. So, yeah. Oh, and you know what? Let's circle back to this because we didn't really talk about it much. Another new character that was shown up is yet another Inquisitor. As we said, it looks like one of those dudes that I can't remember the name of. Nikto. So, and he's got the things, but he's got like this tattered cloak. Very curious, but they all different looks. Obviously, the Inquisitor concept is very, very thinly veiled. Just like, oh, hey, anytime we need someone with a red lightsaber in this era, we can just bring in a new Inquisitor. It's a very, very thinly veiled type of storytelling technique, or just a cheat kind of.
Yeah, easy Sith type character.
Which I'm not going after him, okay? Because we've got some good Inquisitor action and things, but it is pretty on the nose. But I think this is interesting, and I mean, there is a 0%, there's a 100% chance this guy is going to die, as most Inquisitors do. So, yeah, I don't know.
Can't wait for
we probably won't even know his name or his number or whatever.
Can't wait for the 38th
18th brother.
The 38th sibling, whichever side they are on, just to show up for like 2 minutes and then die right away. So, thank you. Thank you, Inquisitors. Inquisitor number 58. You're up next.
They're the red shirts of Star Wars.
Actually, this guy's so new, he doesn't even have a number. They haven't assigned him a number yet. He's just the Inquisitor.
You're a Inquisitor. Oh, shoot, what number are we on now? I don't know. I lost count. Yeah, you don't need a number.
I actually forgot my number. You had one job, man, to remember your number, and you didn't do it.
You have two jobs. You got to kill Jedi, which you guys are bad. Second job is to remember.
That's why you need to keep the Burger King receipt, so you know your order number.
Exactly, especially when you get Order 66. What if would we get a 66th brother? Was there that many?
Wow.
I don't know what the highest number are we on. Are we on like? Isn't there like a
Palpatine and Vader? We're getting really cutesy with those numbers.
They were just
down
like
the line.
running out of numbers here shortly.
Jump from 13 to 66. Yeah. So that's Tales of the Underworld, guys. I don't know what else to say other than I should mention Nika Funderman and Corey Britton will both be back to portray these characters, which I think if you watch the trailer you knew that already, because
surprise.
Pretty unmistakable voices there, but cool to have it confirmed, and just very cool all around. Lucasfilm, Disney, you will be hearing from our lawyers in regards to copyright claim, because we had the Underworld first. We obviously
I don't know if you're gonna win that. So. I don't know if
just because there's a Tales of between Star Wars and Underworld doesn't mean you get to just take our name and do whatever you want with it. Okay, that's not how this works.
I'm wishing you all the best of luck on that one, Brendan.
We appreciate the support there.
What do you think the next Tales of is going to be? Because they've kind of hit all of the major ones. I mean, minus like maybe the Sith. So, like maybe you do a Sith one, but do they do another season of one of the other ones, or what are we thinking?
I have to give a shout out to I believe it may have been the Star Wars Sessions podcast. They predicted, some people were giving them shout outs because they predicted this. They predicted Tales of the Underworld.
First of all,
they also predicted.
I listened to that episode and they were like, yeah, there might be more. They didn't change anything. They were like, there might be more of these. Those dudes are great.
But I think they also said Tales of the Sith. So that's the one I'm looking out for now. Is
that
which
would
I
probably
think
be the most logical one,
because I think there's a lot of different, there's a lot of different ways you could go about that. You could do, Tales of the Sith. We've done Dooku. I don't know. Would they do a Sidious story? Or is that possible? We've got so much Vader. I don't know what they could do with Vader. I would love it. I would love it. Go all the way back.
Maybe Maul.
Maul, possibly.
Origin story of Maul would be cool.
Or Darth Revan or Darth Malak, or
do some of those ones.
Those.
Yes.
And what's going on with our guy from the Acolyte? Why can't I remember his name right now?
Darth Nihilus, Darth Krayt,
Darth
Plagueis. I don't know.
Darth Plagueis,
Just pick one. Just go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Darth, pick this Darth. Do it.
There's a whole bunch of Darths that you already mentioned that are canon that you haven't mentioned.
Darth Teeth, because we don't have a name
Teeth?
for him yet.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
Lucasfilm, we're watching him. We don't even care about Tales of the Underworld anymore. We're looking ahead to this Tales of the Sith thing.
What's the next one?
Yes.
Who cares? Who cares about Tales of the Underworld?
This is cool. What do you do
Tales
next?
of the Sith.
You know something? I'm wondering something now. So, before Tales of the Jedi, what was announced first? The Droid Tales show or Tales of the Jedi?
Oh, Droid Tales.
Pretty sure Droid
movie.
Tales was like way back.
Yeah.
That was announced when they did all the big Disney presentation with Ahsoka and the Acolyte and all that stuff.
So
where's that?
I just realized something because I never thought about this before. Is it possible that the Droid Tales show was actually the first season of the show and it just never happened?
I thought that was a movie or something like that they were doing with ILM or something.
I think it was a TV show, but I could be wrong.
I don't remember what it was.
It might have changed.
I remember seeing there was like a picture of Anthony Daniels like in the dot suits, and he was saying he was something about C-3PO, and that hasn't shown up.
I got the impression that was going to be something like a different style of animation.
Yeah,
maybe I'm making that up completely, but I got that's the impression that I got. I don't feel like it was something that Filoni was doing. I feel like something else was doing. I feel like the fact that it didn't happen
or hasn't happened
probably due to the fact that it was another studio or another creator that just left or got fired, because that happens quite a bit at Lucasfilm.
So
it didn't happen.
So they might then just be remaking shows in their own way that got canceled, and so that starts this season with Tales of the Underworld, and then they'll have Droid Tales next season to remake that, and then we're going to get some type of Detours Tales as well that redoes that. All the canceled shows are coming back as Tales shows.
Really quick. Addition of Ben's Connection Corner. Okay, that's enough. So they confirmed at StarWars.com that this little birdie right here is a steel pecker. If you remember steel peckers, they showed up for the first time in The Force Awakens on Jakku. And they are called steel peckers because they peck steel. In case you were wondering.
Very clever name.
Very clever. They took them a while to actually come up with that one. So my question is this Jakku?
It's got to be if it has the same indigenous fauna.
Could be.
As we know, different species cannot exist on the same planet. Oh, wait, Jawas are on like every planet.
Wait, are you saying Jawas aren't people?
Don't put words in my mouth. I don't want to. I don't want to make people think I'm Jawa racist or something.
They can get on a spaceship and fly it somewhere else.
I know.
I don't know if a bird can
and also, people in the real world just take animals and take them to different places, a la different continents or different planets. So, I don't know. There's another shot of this that doesn't. It looks kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't look very Jakku to me. But it would be interesting to see Jakku before the Battle of Jakku, before all the Star Destroyers fly out of the sky. So, so I would love that. I think that would be cool. See Nima Outpost. See Nima the Hutt, because she's around. Maybe, I don't know. Would be cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Tales of the Underworld before we move on to a few other things?
I would be satisfied with just a lot of good stuff with Ventress and Bane. I'm not going to hope for anything more. Obviously, the ceiling is just incredibly high for this show. There's so many amazing Underworld characters and storylines they could tie in, but we can't ask for too much. I think from this, or we'll be disappointed.
Yeah, best of luck covering that because like you get that on what is that Sunday, and then on the following Wednesday you get an Andor. So,
oops. We might have a special show. We might need a special show for that.
And Chris, for an update on a droid story, it is the last update came from in February of 9th of 2021.
That's actually pretty recent.
Oh wow,
more recent than I would have expected.
It's according.
What was
to
the last update? Can you tell?
I don't know. It says how. Okay, so according to Wikipedia, it says a droid story, a forthcoming animated film scheduled to premiere on Disney Plus.
The film was announced. Wow.
It was announced December 10th, 2020. In 2020, will feature new characters that guide R2-D2 and C-3PO, developed with ILM and Lucasfilm Animation. However, there has not been any updates since February 9th, 2021.
So I'm wondering if the original announcement had something it being formatted slightly differently, because I remember something different when they initially announced it, and maybe they changed it, or I'm just misremembering the original announcement. I can't remember. It's interesting though.
Yeah, I'm very
nothing's.
I still have hope for a droid story.
Yeah, maybe. That's one of the more surprising ones that didn't happen. Like I understand why the Lando one has a lot of moving parts because it's live action. Like I get how that didn't happen, but like the animated one, I'm like, why didn't you do that? I don't think that's the only animated show that got canceled to my knowledge. I think every other animated project has gotten finished. That was announced.
Maybe
you're
it's
right.
Just stuck in development hell, or it's just got quietly swept under the rug. So
could be
either. Anyway,
next season of the Tales.
You know what's gonna happen? You know what's probably gonna happen at the Lucasfilm panel, and they're gonna be like, "Guess what, guys? We got a droid story," and everybody's gonna be like, "What?"
This is easier to make than whatever Rangers of the Republic was going to turn into.
We ran out of stuff, so we're just going to the shelf and seeing what's there. We're going to start releasing stuff.
Shoot, guys! Please. Hey, we finally finished it. We announced it like 5 years ago. It's done. It's coming out this summer.
You remember this? Remember this?
Funny.
Everyone's gonna be like, "What the heck is this?" And then there's gonna be us in the watching it on stream, going, "Yeah, they announced this."
That's the one. It's just that one's always funny because everything that has been announced that never came out, people talk about commonly and frequently. That one, no one
except
mentions.
that one. That one's just like that one just quietly just swept under the rug. Nobody knows what it is.
He said there was no hype. It was just like, what is this? And then it went away.
Yeah.
Well, one day. Along with Detours and the original Underworld series. We shall see. So something else that's happening fairly soon is the 20th. Is it? Yes, 20th, right? 20th anniversary. I'm not trying to make myself feel older than I already am.
Yes, it's been 20 years.
20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. Obviously, it's getting a theatrical re-release, and cinemas are getting in on the action. We had AMC revealed a Darth Vader helmeted popcorn bucket, which is basically this huge thing that you just open up Darth Vader's head and get popcorn out of it. And then also, Regal Cinemas revealed a helmet cup and collectible popcorn tin, which you can see here.
Really cool.
And it's really cool. So now I have to go see episode 3 at least twice at Regal and at AMC to get.
You can buy 2 tickets and then just be one person, and then just have an empty seat next to you. You can also do that.
Not that antisocial. I need a gap.
It'll keep someone from sneezing on you.
That's true.
Get an end seat.
But
so
I
no
love that
on your right.
I love that the Vader mania was big in 2005, and now it's just coming back.
Coming back.
They're all about Vader, and rightfully so. These are pretty cool. Like
I
Vader's
remember-
not one character that I generally like go after collectibles, but I do really like these.
That's so funny. We were just talking about that before we went live.
That's true.
Every piece of Vader merchandise will be worth a lot one day. Not.
No, it will not.
No. So, it's funny. I remembered that day that Revenge of the Sith came out. I was at my not school place, and a bunch of kids were like, "We're gonna go see Revenge of the Sith later," and I was sad because I wasn't. And I had to wait till like a few weeks later because my parents refused to take me when the theater would have a lot of people in it.
Yeah, my dad did the exact same thing. He was like, "No, this movie's probably scary," and then it's like, "Oh, it's Star Wars, man. Come on, Dad. I'm obsessed with this stuff."
Yeah, it's funny. I used to get mad at people because I'd be like, it's naturally people know. And people know you wear Star Wars shirts all the time. People ask you, especially when there's a Star Wars movie out. They're like, "Oh, you didn't see how many times have you seen a new Star Wars movie?" And you tell them like, "Oh, wait, 18 times." And they're like, "Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna wait until the crowds die down." And back then I was just like, "Why? Why would you not go see it with a crowd? Like it's the best." But then I've been to the Chinese theater a couple of times, and that's a great crowd on opening night. But then I go to one of my local cinemas with just normal ass people, and I've been in things. I'm like, I hate this. I love it when I had theaters myself. These people suck. They kicking the back of my seat and yelling and stuff.
It's something when you get an empty theater and you're like, "Oh, this is good. This is good."
Ben, you do know that if you just buy out the whole theater, you'll get like 200 of these buckets.
There you go.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm sure that's exactly.
I'm sure these buckets will be fairly cheap, only $48 or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no big deal. So so run out, and I think tickets are going on sale sometime soon.
I think it's
like early
week.
April.
April
14th, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. So so it should be getting. So I'm actually curious. Like, okay, where is this thing? I know it's a limited release. I'm like, which theaters near me is it going to be at? What are the times? Got to make plans because I haven't seen it in a theater in 20 years.
Yes.
And I feel really old about that.
Oh my God.
So yeah. And another quick sidebar for Revenge of the Sith. The Revenge of the Sith novelization is getting a release unto itself. A deluxe edition, deluxe hardcover edition will be available on October 14th to celebrate the 20th anniversary. And that's a really great novelization. That's one of the best novelizations.
It's the only novelization that's better than the movie. It's the only.
I mean, it's a wild novelization because like it is very much of its time. If you were aware of all the legends and canon stuff that was going on, like it mentions Asajj Ventress, like it's talking about all that kind of stuff. And Matthew Stover, to his credit, really did a great job of just like taking everything that was happening at that time from the animated stuff that was obviously concurring and the comic stuff and just kind of weaving it into, I think there's, obviously there's even references to other novels. Cause like there's the pre-Revenge of the Sith novel with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Kate and Amodia. And then there's obviously
that business on Kate and Amodia. Yes. That novel
that we've seen like 2 or 3 times in different versions of canon. So yeah, it does count actually. Kenobi
still canon.
Yeah, still canon.
In spite.
So that's very, very, very cool. And yeah, definitely. If you haven't read, I took a special effort recently, past few years, and just like got through all of the novelizations because it was the thing to do, and I love them, even the not so great ones. Revenge of the Sith, if you haven't done that one, definitely go check it out because it's great. Either audiobook or as with this is the October 14th 20th anniversary edition, which should be pretty cool. Some gaming news. If you haven't been paying attention, Nintendo revealed the Nintendo Switch 2 this past week, and lots of stuff going on. And if you are aware of this, you're aware of the fact that the Nintendo Switch is not known for being the most powerful console or the most versatile console when it comes to next-gen games, specifically Star Wars games. It has a lot of old school games on it, but really doesn't have many new games on it because, for obvious reasons, it's very things, and it's just not a super powerful console. It's not knocking it; it's just the way it is. But Star Wars Outlaws apparently going to be a title on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is
nice,
very, very cool and very exciting for those of you who are prepared to spend another apparently $80 on Star Wars Outlaws. Because yes, that's how much a Nintendo Switch 2 game costs. Kind of insane.
Yikes.
Wait until GTA 6 comes out. And then that thing's gonna cost you $1,000.
Oh.
Just get a third job, I guess. To
get an
cover,
eighth job
so
you can pay for that.
Just to pay for your gaming habits, okay? Good Lord. And then you have all the streaming services and all the movies and all the popcorn buckets. It just never ends, does it?
No. Out of curiosity, I just Googled what the Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order to see if they were also on the Switch, and they were not.
See,
so
they haven't said they are yet. Of course, they haven't revealed everything, but I was talking with some friends and being like, this would make sense to get at least Star Wars Jedi or Jedi Fallen Order on that game, meaning it's a kind of an older game, and I mean, Outlaws is the newest of the three, so
I mean, two different companies building it too, so maybe they will come, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. So
because the
Switch is a lot more powerful. So
the Switch loves their bundles, like their so we've had the Legacy Pack, which has all the older games in it, whatever else. I think there's a Republic Commando and Bounty Hunter one recently out. So I would think like that's no brainer. Like get Fallen Order and Survivor as a bundle. It'll cost maybe $1,000 because that's how it goes. But that would be cool. That'd be cool. So start saving your money, guys. It's getting real. All right. What else? Let's check out some Star Wars Celebration merch, because Celebration is right around the corner. Some of you are literally on your way there. In fact, I'm pretty sure at least one of our hosts is like on a plane right now en route to Japan, to Tokyo. But we got some exclusive merch. First up is
that's cool.
The Ronin and the I forget the R2 unit's name. But very cool.
It's literally on the screen, Ben. It's R5D56.
It's too small for me to read, Chad.
I know, what does that say?
All right, fair enough. I am looking at an actual like computer monitor.
Yeah, I know. But no, it's really cool. It's really cool. This is like some of the, I will be honest, most of the time Celebration exclusive merch, even when I'm going to Celebration, I'm just like, I'm not waiting in line for that. I'm not waiting in line all day for that thing.
It's
but
probably going to be,
on the other hand, looks good.
My guess is probably going to be like a little like QR code that you got to scan again, like they did when we were there in 2022 now. So it's got that figure just to set on a shelf.
So this is Black Series Ronin.
I really want this one.
Droid. Yeah, no. You'll be able to get it again for lots and lots of money on eBay. As soon as Celebration starts, they're going in there, and then it will be online before they leave the convention center. You better believe.
I'm guessing these are going to be, you pre-order them again at Celebration, and then. But I need a Dominic Jones or Hannah, if you're listening to this. Can you get your good friend Chad one of those codes so he can buy this, please and thank you? That would be awesome.
Yeah, they do that, don't they? It's like it's not actually available.
It's
like
not
what was
actually available there. It was
it
was John Favreau. I have the John Favreau.
Oh
figure
yeah, the Favreau Paz Vizsla thing. So it's like, hey, look at this figure. It's not here. It's Celebration exclusive. You can't get it here. Here's a piece of paper where you can order it.
It's very OG.
Love it. Additionally, we got this really awesome and very apt porcelain Darth Vader figure with the Japanese flag and cherry blossoms on his cape,
really cool.
Which is just very, very seriously very, very, very cool.
Also on this, did you see the Hot Toys Stormtrooper, like the cherry blossom Stormtrooper?
I did not. I did not see
look it up.
I don't think they put it on StarWars.com, so I did not see that.
No, Hot Toys usually do their own thing, and
Right.
as a Hot Toys collector, so it's a terrible habit to get in.
Yeah.
Don't get into that high.
Also noticeably absent and on my radar somewhat.
Yeah,
no
it's
Funko yet.
it's a Funko. I'm surprised on that one actually, but Hot Toys, it's a terrible hobby. Don't get into it. It costs.
I've always reserved that for when I have $3 million in the bank.
It costs you a lot of money. I have the full Bad Batch set up here now because finally Tech came out. His face looks weird. That's why I keep his helmet on. So and then I have so many Hot Toys on pre-order too. But if you see the Stormtrooper, the Cherry Blossom Stormtrooper, it looks really cool. I think now that they did a Darth Vader like lightsabers like dueling color. So.
And this is right up our alley. If you're looking for something edible to take home from Star Wars Celebration Japan, the exclusive Star Wars Celebration Japan waffle cookies, which look delicious. I will admit,
Nice.
I would wait in line for maybe an hour for these. That's
a popular delicacy in Japan. Waffle cookies, is that like a regional dish?
I mean, it certainly seems that way. I know there's.
I've never heard of them.
There's
That's
a
cool.
lot, but yeah, so very, very cool and very, very delicious. There's one other story that I'm not sure we should get into tonight. It's talking about racism. Talking about racism. In Star Wars fandom. So maybe we'll save that. Maybe we'll save that for another week when we can dive further into it. Because John Boyega has some things to say, and he was on point in my opinion on all accounts. So I really do want to give it the time.
And he was not wrong. So.
No, not 100%. Like I'm like, preach it, preach, my friend, preach. Like, in all seriousness, I can't respect that guy more. Like, John Boyega is such a stand-up person, and on top of being just a brilliant actor. So yeah, props to you, John. We'll get to you next week. We're not putting you off because you're less important. We're putting you off because there probably won't be anything happening next week in Lude's celebration. So although I fully expected there not to be anything happening this week, because I'm like, well, why would they announce a new show and give a new trailer 3 weeks before celebration? Why would they do that? Why? They did it. I don't know. And then CinemaCon was happening today, like literally right now. CinemaCon is happening. Lucasfilm didn't even show up.
Well,
nothing from Lucasfilm at CinemaCon. So,
but did you see that Superman scene, Ben?
I did.
So good. I can't wait.
That's gonna be a good movie. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. So
yeah, that's we have a question about that. We may get to that tonight. Who knows? Speaking of questions, let's get into questions.
Before you do that, I did send you over Discord the Instagram link to the Stormtrooper if you want to pull it up.
Okay, yeah. Okay, see, yeah, I will you know what? I will post this on our socials. Because I like to cover, even though I don't buy Hot Toys, but
it is
you like Hot Toys.
Yeah, it is a really cool like exclusive like figure.
Because today it wasn't in the show notes because it happened today, but Hot Toys today revealed a concept Darth Maul.
Oh yes, that one too.
It was basically it's that early. I think it's either Ian McCaig or
I think Ian
McCaig.
I think it's Ian McCaig.
That early Darth Maul thing where he's got the high collar, it's a yellow suit.
Yeah, that
like they did that in a Hot Toys.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of like cooler, like because they just did like Revan Malgus, and I think they did they've been doing like a lot of like out there kind of figures. Like they did a Galen Merrick or Galen Urso recently for a reason.
I saw that one too. Yeah, you're right.
Why? I don't know why. Galen Urso. And then they did they also did like a Starkiller one, like in that like Sith suit from that one.
They got both Galens. That's good.
Yeah, both Galens. Both Galens. One might be better than the other.
We won't get into that tonight.
I don't know which one is.
We don't have time for that debate.
They're the same person. Conspiracy.
The same person, actually. Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. Totally. Okay, ask the SWU. Why not? Well, let's get into a few questions. We're getting behind here, guys. There's a lot of questions in here. They keep piling up, and some weeks we don't get to very many. So let's get to a few. We got a few minutes. The first one up is from our good friend Jesse. He says, based off our conversation we had in the food channel the other day, my question is, what is your favorite Star Wars toy that wasn't available in stores? And I should preface this by saying that if you're not on the Star Wars Underworld Discord, definitely go join the Star Wars Underworld Discord, and then also check out we have a food channel. We have a channel just for food. We didn't actually talk about food in that channel. We talked about Happy Meal toys. Our favorite Star Wars toys, because I remember does anyone remember the Revenge of the Sith toys from 2005? Yes. I remember my parents taking me through the drive-thru several times at Burger King to get those and other things. So I think that's what Jesse's referencing here is mostly that. So he says, so fast food, kids meals, maybe a toy or item that was part of a giveaway or something. I personally don't know of any of the kids' toys that were Star Wars themed, so I missed out on those. Would love to hear y'all's thoughts. And on top of that, I not just like, fast food stuff. Like I'm thinking of like, I can't remember what promotion it was with, but I remember a lightsaber spoon that came in a cereal box.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes, I had all of them. Yes. I forgot about that. New memory unlocked. I have not thought about that since.
I think it was. I swear to God, I have a Jango Fett like pen somewhere that I got out of a cereal box. I think too.
That one. I remember that one. Oh, actually, you know what? I just realized if we're talking about basically not available in stores has become like related to food again, like you said. But I guess this counts because you had to buy it and then so actually this is the reason why I'm a Star Wars fan. This is the actual reason why. because what happened was in 1995 there was a cereal box mail-in for the Kenner Power the Force 2 Han Solo and Stormtrooper disguise action figure.
Oh my God.
And that was the first Star Wars thing that I ever owned because I saw it on the cereal box when I was 4 years old and I said I wanted it. So my mom sent in a bunch of the UPC barcodes from the cereal boxes into Kenner or whatever, or General Mills or wherever you would have mailed at the time. And then the mail, I got two. I ended up with two of them, I think, in the mail. And that was my first Star Wars anything. And after that, I then started buying the Power of the Force 2 figures in stores in that orange packaging. And then the rest was history. But it all started with the mail-in action figure from the cereal boxes.
I mean, I have specific memories of seeing it wasn't a brand of cereal. It was the Attack of the Clones cereal. It was a cereal that was branded for Attack of the Clones and had like lightsaber shapes marshmallows in it and stuff like that. Like I remember, and that was like getting that box. Like this is before the internet. Like I didn't have internet access. I didn't have a computer at my house. So that was my first exposure to Attack of the Clones, is picking up that box and looking at the back of it, and going like, "Oh my god, Obi-Wan's gonna be fighting a Mandalorian guy! Like, this is so cool!" Like that was my first exposure to it. That was crazy, and I have fond memories, and I probably have. God, I wish I'd saved that particular box. I know I probably have at least one, if not several, cereal boxes that are probably not in good shape that I probably shouldn't have saved, but I can't bring myself to throw them away.
I think I finally might have gotten rid of the Happy Meal boxes from the Clone Wars movie. Because there was a lot of good toys that came with the Clone Wars movie. They had a whole
you're right.
McDonald's run. So I actually saved the Happy Meal boxes too because they had the Clone Wars all over them. But I can't remember. I think I might have finally gotten rid of them when I did my last cleanup of all the boxes. Because I used to keep all the boxes, like all the action figures. I used to keep and all the ships, everything. I kept every piece of cardboard that had Star Wars on it. And then after a while of not living at home, my dad was like, "This is taking so much space. You either need to take this stuff or you need to get rid of it." I'm like, "Okay, we can get rid of some of the boxes."
Fair enough.
Fine. So I did get rid of a little bit of that, and I think the Happy Meal boxes might have gone, but I'm not sure. But yeah, there were so many little tie-in things, throughout the prequels, especially, that there were little puzzle pieces and like Lay's chips. For Attack of the Clones that you could put together. I remember those. One of my favorite ones was Pizza Hut had little collectible discs that you could get with Star Wars characters on them. They were like little coins that were very cardboardy. So I remember those. And I think the boxes themselves, the pizza boxes, also had Star Wars characters on them, but I don't think that's the type of thing you'd want to save because they were all greasy from the pizza. So those are probably pretty rare if anybody has any of those. But I think they had like Newt Gunray on like a pizza box and like Sebulba or something like that. So those are pretty cool. One of the earliest things that I got from fast food was Taco Bell had Star Wars.
Oh yes,
back in the day in the 90s, and I had got I remembered this. It was like a black box with a mirror in it and half of Yoda's head, but because of the mirror, it looked like his full head was inside the box. Such a strange design. It was back when that was like in vogue to have like a half of something in a mirror to make it like a full thing.
Ooh, I had one where it was half Yoda, half Darth Vader. So it was like a little like cube that you would turn in and would.
Nice.
I don't know how it worked, but one half was Yoda, one half was. It was like one of those like optical illusion boxes.
I think
that was like I think Empire or something like that. It was promotion for.
I think I had one of.
I don't know where it is anymore.
One of those things too, where like it was like a cube made up of smaller cubes, almost like a Rubik's cube, but then like the cubes unfolded out to make a larger painting, and then the cube. So when you had the cube shut, it would have different images on like each face of the cube, but then you could like unfold it, and then it would make a bigger like kind of mural or something. I think I had that as well from something that might have been a Taco Bell thing. I think along with the Yoda thing. There was a lot of different things. Star Wars being Star Wars, so many different things.
And
go ahead. I had to Google it. It was like a wind-up like clone trooper that would just walk from like Burger King. That's what I had as a kid. It looks ridiculous. It's like $7 on eBay, and I'm not buying it. But it's like it was like this wind-up like clone trooper that would just walk, and you could only move his hands. So it was like a big head, small body thing. It looks like they made a Darth Vader, a Jar Jar Binks one as well.
Yeah, I looked it up. And I found the lightsaber spoons. They were from the Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
Didn't they?
There was a collect all three.
Yep. It was like, red, blue, and green.
I think there was like a new one that came out like a couple of years ago as well, like when the sequels were coming out. Because my nephew had some as well.
Interesting.
I
don't know if it was with a cereal or you could just buy the spoons. So
a light up lightsaber spoon, legit freaking cool. That should bring that back. Okay.
Yep.
Where are the new lightsaber spoons? Where's the double bladed lightsaber spoons?
Ooh.
Where's the tri
I
lightsaber spoons like Kylo Ren
You
style?
might as well have a double spoon at that point.
I need to eat my Lucky Charms with my lightsaber spoon as a 30-year-old man.
Oh my gosh.
Where's my purple lightsaber spoon? Red, green,
I want
and
my
Yeah,
purple.
blue? Come on.
I want my
I can see it in my head.
Mace Windu one, okay? I'm not eating my Lucky Charms without my Mace Windu spoon.
Oh boy. That was a great question, Jesse. Trip down memory lane. It's always fun. So we have one from Joel Davis, as always. And Joel says, or Joel asks, "Hey, Underworld, I have a bit of a weird question for you guys. You have a lot of weird questions for us, Joel. You always preface this. I don't think your questions are that weird, personally. But he says, I have a bit of a question for you guys this week. Have you ever met a Star Wars fan who loves the prequels but hates the Clone Wars 2008 cartoon? Because I have. Their reasoning is they feel the Clone Wars 2008 was too much of a reaction to the criticism leveled at the movies, and they don't like how the era is filtered through the likes of Dave Filoni, Henry Gilroy, and others, even if George Lucas was still in charge. They prefer the unfiltered, George-centric prequel films with no outside influence, serious Yoda, monotone Anakin, and so on. Now, I will say I haven't met any of these fans, but I do know a few who love the prequels and even the expanded universe material from that era until the Clone Wars 2008 came along. They hated that the direction the storytelling took from there and stopped following it. Thoughts on this odd phenomenon?
I don't think it was odd at the time. Now it is.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had a conversation with someone saying that they liked the prequels but didn't like the Clone Wars anytime recently. But back when the Clone Wars show was airing, especially in the first few seasons, there were plenty of people that did not like the Clone Wars that were fans of the prequels. I remember that being a thing.
Yeah, I feel like that. Like I've never met anybody like that, but I feel like that kind of hate kind of dissipated out once like the show really got going and like people started
when it hit Netflix. I
yeah,
think that's
especially once it hit Netflix and more people like got eyes on it and were like, oh, actually, this is a really good show.
And they could binge it and they could skip through the episodes that weren't as good. Like back when it was just on Cartoon Network, it was more controversial of a show, especially with the Mandalorian episodes.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that being like, oh, Mandalorians being pacifists. And
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just a kid.
And then you have the first season when everybody didn't like Ahsoka. Well, a lot of people didn't like Ahsoka in the first season. They didn't like the whole like Sky Guy line and all that. But yeah, like you were saying, like once people had a chance to go through at least like 5 seasons of the show and get through some of the really really amazing arcs, like the Darth Sidious Mando Maul arc, and then there really wasn't much hate for it anymore, and I really haven't heard anything negative about the show since then.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the odd episodes that are like that, the droid episode where R2-D2 and goes to a spa and C-3PO gets kidnapped. There's like always those odd episodes where you're like, I don't know what's going on here. R2-D2 and C-3PO are just lost in space. We're just doing Lost in Space with R2-D2 and C-3PO. That's a weird set of episodes. Okay, but other than that, like I don't think I've never met anybody who's like that. So,
and the other thing too is like also the prequels have continued to get the same treatment. Well, they're more and more popular over time as well. Both the Clone Wars and the prequels have aged very well. It's really I'm interested to see of all the stuff that people have disliked over the past, that's been controversial over the past like 10 years, like which things are going to age well, and 5 to 10 years from won't have anything. Like, will we ever live in a world where people fondly remember The Last Jedi as a group consensus? I don't know.
In like 10 years, they're gonna start like nobody ever hated The Last Jedi. That's not a controversial movie.
I have a feeling that's gonna happen. It's already sort of happening right now. It's like the kids who grew up on that are now
Yeah, the
online.
You darn kids, you're annoying me. All right,
gosh darn kids,
kids that weren't on the internet 10 years ago. You weren't here for the prequel wars. Okay,
when
you don't get to talk about how nobody
good.
hated Jar Jar. Yes, damn well they did hate Jar Jar. Okay, that was a thing.
Did you just say 10 years ago when it was 25 years ago?
20-some years ago.
Look, time means nothing to me.
Time's a flat circle. It doesn't mean anything.
Even 10 years ago, it was popular to hate Jar Jar. Even 10 years ago.
I have a side note on Jar Jar Binks. One of my good friends.
Think of 10 years ago. That's peak Force Awakens. That was J.J. Abrams coming out as part of the press tour for a Star Wars film and going, hey, maybe the bones of Jar Jar are in the background of the Force Awakens because wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Everybody hates Jar Jar, right? Like, it was still going on.
Yeah, that's true. Although again, J.J. Abrams is like a OG or not original trilogy generation person, so they all still hate Jar Jar.
Yeah, there was a lot of that in the sequel marketing and stuff, which I won't get into. I'll get back to
the old ways of doing things. Real
Peter
sense.
Mayhew, may he rest in peace. That line still just circulates in my head every once in a while. I'm just like, not going to go into that. Going to just rile me up again. I'm trying to suppress that for 10 years. Back to Joel's question. It is interesting because I think back in the day, 15 odd years ago, like it was kind of
one score.
Pretty much all of our history we talk about in this show now was one score.
Yeah, one score. It was, I think, a general kind of blanket thing. Like there was a general negativity towards everything Star Wars, everything new Star Wars. It was George Lucas is crazy. He's just out in it for the money. You know, the Clone Wars sucks. The prequels sucked. All this kind of stuff. The one exception I will throw out there that I think has been constant and it still persists today is people hold the micro series at a high regard. I think they always have.
Yes.
And there was this thing that shows up, and every once in a while you'll see a comment of the micro series is so much better than the 2008 The Clone Wars series, which is a statement I've never agreed with, and I will fight tooth and nail and say that
very false statement.
There's only one sequence of that entire show that is transcendent, and it's the Captain Fordo sequence. That is the only part of that show that holds up.
To me, the shows are incomparable because the micro series is there's almost no dialogue, there's almost no plot.
That's why that's
almost
good,
exclusively visuals. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying
in that scene it's good.
There's nothing to criticize in the micro series. There's nothing there. It's just visuals. It's just a moving painting, and it's beautiful and it's great. I love the micro series. I'm not crapping on it, but it's just not that deep. And the Clone Wars was okay. Let's do like we do the movies, but in animation. That's what things. And of course, there was missteps just like the movies because it had 7 seasons and it had episodes about droid spas. It's just like that. Of course, it went off the rails occasionally.
You know, the thing too is I don't think that the group of people that hated on the prequels even knew where to watch the micro series. I think the only people that watched the micro series were kids. And I think that's why it doesn't.
Because where did you watch it? You either watched it when it aired on Cartoon Network,
for like
or
3 minutes.
Maybe it was out on DVD at that point.
It was like
or you caught a ripped copy on YouTube, which is how I watched it.
I watched it. I got the DVD from the library. So, both parts, 1 and 2.
It's a very mysterious thing at that time. I remember seeing one episode randomly on Cartoon Network and being like, well, how do I see the other episodes? And never figuring out how to.
No.
Oh my God. It took me years to find them on like YouTube.
So I'm sure like I've read a lot of comments. I've seen a lot of weird, interesting opinions. I don't doubt that there are people out there who might like the prequels and don't like the Clone Wars, because the Clone Wars, let's face it, it pissed a lot of people off for various reasons. It steamrolled over EU canon, so all the book fans were out to get Dave Filoni for a long time. It even, and it did interesting things with, the whole like clone backstory and all that kind of stuff. There was not just things that was kind of in the movies, and it changed that. And I think a lot of people, were kind of accepted things the way they were in the prequels, and then the Clone Wars comes along and adds more layers to it. And naturally, some people are going to be on board with that stuff, some people aren't. So I'd be very curious to hear people's reasoning about, like, you like the prequels, you don't like the Clone Wars. Why not? The Clone Wars has been universally seemingly accepted as a great part of Star Wars, but as we all know, those opinions still persist, and it's okay to dislike something. I'm very curious because who the heck knows?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely met people who was like, "Oh, if it's animated, I'm not going to watch it." And you're like, "Well, some of the best storytelling's in animated, but I understand if you think it's good."
That group of people has decreased so much over the last 10 years with anime becoming so popular.
Yeah, with now there's everything's animated nowadays. There's so much good animation, but every once in a while you run into some of those, and you're like, I guess if you say so. Like, you're missing out, but all right.
We've definitely turned the corner on. I feel like in my lifetime, being into nerdy, geeky things, like nerd and geek became less of an insult and more of a term of endearment. Like that's become a thing in my lifetime. I think in the past 10, 15 years, animation has that stigma has gone away. That whole thing about like, it's just for kids, like it's not gone, but we're making strides to and appreciating animation for the art form that it is. Movie studios don't generally understand that it's not a genre, and it's not a lesser medium. You don't always have to take something that's animated and turn it into a live action thing. I'm just saying.
How I Trained Your Dragon.
Some things are just fine being animated. That can be it. But that's a whole other story. Are you guys ready for one more question?
Yes.
Or do we have time for one more question?
One more.
Let's do one more question. This is a long question.
All right.
But it's from one of our oldest and dearest friends, and one of our oldest and most loyal listeners, because he was back in the day when it was just you could just listen to us. Okay, this is how far back this guy goes. I'm talking about Kenny Crayley Jr.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. There's only one person who.
And it actually ties in directly what's been going on today and what you guys talked about just recently. He says, quote, "Hey, SWU, boy, it's been a long time ago since I written into the show and the podcast. Love you all, Dom, Ben, Chris, and Hannah. As a fan of the what?
No, I was gonna make a comment.
I think I know. Yeah, only two of them are here tonight. Just saying. As a fan of pop culture, I love the characters of Luke Skywalker and Superman, Clark Kent, for a long time. Now, recently in the modern era, writers want to write Luke and Superman very anxious and full of rage, anger, and a little heart, hope, and humanity at their core. Their core is heart, hope, and humanity, and if you change the fundamental principles of the characters, then you have lost it a bit. The DCEU and the Snyderverse films was like that. Not enough heart, humanity, and for very dark times. Whereas the DC TV Arrowverse universe, like in Superman and Lois, which is a great that the writers let them do the DCU heroes without changing them at their core. Same thing goes for Star Wars. Honestly, I didn't care for Luke Skywalker being deconstructed in The Last Jedi. Luke is the hero of the Star Wars, the hope that lifts the light out of the darkness and inspire others. He always will, no matter what. Now in Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker is super amazing when he went to town on those stormtroopers, and was a cool scene. Hopefully now with Star Wars, hopefully on its way back to doing things well, the DCU coming with a new Superman movie, where back to having great stories with these characters again. Anyway, thanks and take care. Sincerely, long time listener, Kenny Crayley Jr. from Ohio. That's a really interesting parallel that I hadn't considered, because kind of two characters that I think a lot of people associate Luke Skywalker with hopeful, positive energy, and obviously Superman is this mythological thing throughout the comics and the movies, this symbol of hope. And I think, and I don't agree. Like, I, for the most part, like what was done with Luke Skywalker. I think it was well done. But I understand that point of view. And I definitely sort of agree with the Superman connection. I'm just like, you're taking this character that is supposed to be this embodiment of hope, this things, and you're kind of literally taking the color out of his suit and kind of making him a darker, more nuanced character, which obviously not everyone agrees with me. A lot of people, like, I liked Henry Cavill's performance in those movies. I like a lot of stuff in the DCEU, but it didn't hit home as much as it could have for me personally. But ton of people really love those movies and were disappointed to see them. And yeah, so Henry Cavill got shafted. let's put it that way. But like, I really loved what they did with Superman and Lois, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. But anybody else have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I think that it's a natural thing. I think that media in general goes through natural cycles of it being en vogue and popular to do either a darker or a lighter version of things. And I think that Star Wars itself is very much caught in that cycle and was almost something that actually reversed the cycle once and maybe even multiple times. Because, when you go back to the films of the late 60s and the 70s, it was in that very dark era. A lot of those films were, very much kind of talking about the realities of the Vietnam War and the unrest of the civil rights movement. And Star Wars kind of brought back that optimistic, hopeful fiction again in 1977 and ushered in a new era of film and music, I would say, too, going into the 1980s that were very, very positive and had a lot of that idealism to it and escapism to it. And I think as we got into, I think in the 90s, that just slowly petered out. And then by the time we turn the corner into the 2000s, you end up with, two very traumatic events for people, the war on terror and the recession. And so I think that there were, at that time, there was a lot more pessimism and about the world, and I think people wanted to see that reflected in movies, and I think that kind of turned the corner with the Nolan Batman films, and then I think that the Snyder films were also a continuation of that version of DC, and I think you saw that also reflected in the Star Wars sequels as well that were written in the early 2010s and through the mid 2010s. And so I think we the peak of that was probably during the pandemic, and I think by the time that the world has come back from the pandemic, I think probably everything that was written during the pandemic was of a hopeful, wishful future for what the world could be like after the pandemic. And then I think as we've continued to go into that world, I think media, music, television, movies continues to have a more and more positive tone. And now we're getting that new era of media, like with The Mandalorian and the new Superman movie, and the kind of new resurgence of pop music that we saw, last year, and going into this year. I think we're back in that cycle, and we'll probably be in this cycle probably for the rest of the 2020s, hopefully, of things being positive. But I don't know if when is bad and when is good. I think there's a lot of good things that come out of both. I mean, I love The Dark Knight. There's no way a movie like, The Dark Knight, I don't know if that would be as popular now or in vogue now as it was in the 2000s. But, it was there was some really great stuff that did come out of the kind of dark eras. There was some great stuff that came out of the 60s and the 70s before Star Wars as well, that just was of a grittier nature. So I think it's a natural cycle that happens in society, and I think Star Wars and DC are certainly not immune to that cycle, and sometimes they're actually a part of breaking and reversing the cycle, especially with things like A New Hope. I think A New Hope was a seminal moment in the switching of the cycle from the 70s going into the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, even like James Gunn's Superman, like if you watch the clip today, it's still very hopeful. That theme does. I love listening to the theme music that they put out for that trailer. It's just just gives you that feeling of hope, that feeling of like uplift. It just makes you feel better. Like when you listen to it, when you're watching the trailers, every time you hear that music. Even I watched that clip like multiple times today, and I was like, oh man, this is great. I'm loving this. But also, it's good to see your heroes change. Like I think going to Luke Skywalker, I think if they just kept him as he's just out here, fighting for good, or like he's just always this hopeful guy. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but it's good to kind of see him grow and not stay stagnant, because if he was always kind of that EU Luke, where he was just he's just this dude who's super powerful and that's all he does is just go out and save people every time, I think it would be lame. Like if we would have saw him, he's just this all powerful Jedi. It's more interesting of a story to see him kind of go, I don't want to do anything with this anymore, man. I'm just a guy. Like I was just a kid from this backwater planet that happened to become the hero of the rebellion, and then I don't want this responsibility anymore. After he felt like he failed his nephew, so
yeah. I think, I mean, you look at mythology. Like mythology is this, it's always like you're saying, Chris. Like it's a reflection. Like art at the baseline is a reflection of society, a reflection of what society sees and what people are feeling. Because at the end of the day, no matter if it's a movie or TV show or a comic book or whatever else, it is a human being at a certain point in time sitting down and writing what they feel and trying to convey something, to convey an emotion or convey an idea. And this has been going on for, thousands, if not millions of years. And you have mythology, which is just like these mythological figures and stuff. And then we go a couple thousand years down the line and someone else is adding to that and adding another layer to it, and things get added onto, and you have these stories that are as old as time itself, pretty much at this point, that are, a product of so many different people putting their own kind of twist on it.
I mean, superheroes is the modern, since the early 1930s is the modern American mythology, pretty much. It's
exactly it is and that is and comic books are, and by essence, the stuff, the TV shows, the movies, that the comic books are, that they're based on the comic books, are an extension of that, of just it's Superman has been written by countless writers and countless people. And this whole thing of continuing to add on to this, and there's a lot of crazy stuff in comic books. If you do the research, you listen to people. I'm not a big comic book guy, but I heard from so many people. I listen to podcasts, do all this kind of stuff, looking into people that really get into comics. And there's so many things. And you take Superman just in general, like Superman has a family, as shown in Superman and Lois recently, or you have the death of Superman, which is also shown in Superman and Lois. And these they have to pump out a comic book, I don't know, maybe at some points every week, or at least every month. and they got to come up with a new idea. And then sometimes people just don't read them, and comic books have gone out of style, and they got to do something weird and different and new to get people engaged. And so they freaking kill off Superman one day. They make him evil. They red kryptonite, whatever they got to do to keep people engaged. And you really are ending up with what is, as you're saying, modern mythology, modern day mythology. And Star Wars is
part
based
of that.
on mythology, is all things, and it becomes that. And Luke Skywalker in and of itself is a mythological figure that if we happen to be on this rock in a few thousand or maybe even a few million years, Luke Skywalker will be one of those characters. He will be a character that humans hopefully remember and is part of the lexicon. And now we're at a point now where people that grew up on Luke Skywalker, reading Luke Skywalker stories, watching Luke Skywalker stories, are now writing those stories. Rian Johnson, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, they're writing the stories now. They're steering the ship. George is out doing something else. The guy that created the character is no longer in the picture. Now it's up to the people that love this stuff to actually take in things, and people have different reactions to that. A lot of people really love Luke Skywalker and The Last Jedi. I get why people don't. And it's never going to be not controversial until the kids that are being born right now grow up and they're like, well, everybody loves Luke Skywalker and The Last Jedi. That was never controversial. So I don't know. It's fascinating. I like that comparison, Kenny. I really do. I like that. I could probably talk all night about, because I don't get to talk about Superman much. I really do enjoy talking about Superman. I'm really, really looking forward to James Gunn's Superman, because he is genuinely one of, if not my favorite filmmaker working today, and someone who I very much respect, and I like his take on things. And there's really nothing I've seen of his that I don't like. And I think he may be the perfect person to take Superman into thing, because I think there have been missteps with Superman, some more recent ones. And I really like Superman and Lois. I think that was a great show that really captured the character very, very well. And I think if James Gunn can do even half as bad or as good as that, then I think we have a lot to look forward to. But yeah. Anyone else have anything else to say about that? Because I'm kind of rambling here.
I feel good about pop culture in general right now. I like the direction everything is headed. I think that there was a bit of tiredness up until maybe a year ago, where things felt like they needed a bit of a refresh and a reset. And I think it's happening. And I think we've kind of turned a corner, which is really cool for a lot of things.
And people, and like this stuff, as you're saying, does come in waves. It comes in things of like Star Wars was a reaction to the very dark stuff that was happening in the 60s and early 70s that George Lucas was watching. It was like, this is really grim. I need to make something that's kind of hopeful. And, and that's not just through genre. We see that happen in genre, whereas like we had the age of the Westerns. Westerns were all everybody want to watch. And now we're in the age of superheroes, but now maybe we're coming out of that now. What's the next big thing? But then obviously on a more emotional state, what people are feeling, what, things. Sometimes it's more literal. Sometimes things are very much on the nose in what the filmmakers want to say. Sometimes they're not. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see where things go in the near future.
100%.
Yeah.
Especially with Superman and Luke Skywalker, because we're getting more Superman for real, and I don't think Luke Skywalker is going away anytime soon.
No way. So. he'll come back somewhere. Who knows? Maybe in Mandalorian Grogu. Maybe he'll have a cameo. Surprise!
Sebastian Stan is still there. He's still out there, guys. You still have a chance to make things right.
That's right. Awesome.
I mean, they figured out the technology. I don't think it's going to be Sebastian anytime soon. Man, as much as I would love to be, but I don't think.
Speaking of something controversial.
Yes, that is also true. All right, so I think that'll do it for the Ask the SWU segment. Thank you guys so much for your questions. You can send them in for the next week on our Discord, which the link is in the description of this podcast. And I think that'll do it for this episode of the Star Wars Underworld Podcast. We want to thank everybody so much for watching and listening to the show. We'll be back, of course, next week with another show. Follow us at the SWU on social media in the meantime, so you don't miss any breaking Star Wars news. Ben, thank you so much for hosting tonight.
Oh, this was a surprise, to be sure, but yes, a great show and a lot of great stuff to talk about. And yeah, so May 4th is going to be, at the very least, is going to be wicked cool. And then, we got a lot of other stuff happening. Like April's going to be packed, and they're just continuing it on into May. So yeah, we got a lot to look forward to. In fact, will Andor be over by May 4th, or will that still be going on?
No, I think it'll be the third. I think that's the third set of episodes that come out on the May 6th. No, it's like the second set. No, look, it's like halfway through the show, I'm pretty sure.
Just for my own sanity, can we wait until after Andor is over to talk about Tales of the whatever on this show?
No, you gotta do it on Monday.
Too much, guys.
You gotta do it on Mondays, so on Tuesday you can watch.
At this point, we could do a show every single weekday and not catch up still.
Definitely not. Amazing. Of course, you can follow Ben on social media at Ben Hart with no E. Chad, thank you so much for filling in and guest hosting tonight. Appreciate you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. I always love coming on and talking to you guys.
You can follow Chad on social media at ChadBTI. I'm assuming Blue Sky is one of the top spots for
Instagram and Threads mostly.
Instagram and Threads. Okay.
I am on Blue Sky, but I forget about it. So
Threads. Make sure you follow Chad on
Threads. I post a lot about Marvel stuff. Apparently,
we're also on Threads at the SWU.
There you go.
We want to remind everybody. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. You can also make sure you subscribe on your way out. Leave us a review if you're listening on an app that lets you leave a review. Make sure that you check out that Discord, like I mentioned. That's where #AskTheSWU question submissions are, and lots of other great stuff. Watch parties, game nights, fun stuff. And check out all the other shows on the Star Wars Underworld Network, the Raeside, Iron Cannon, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, Tractor Beam, and more. So that's it. We'll be back next week with another episode. But until then, for Ben and Chad, my name is Chris, and may the Force be with you. It's a wrap.